This woman is tidying up her house when she hears her cell phone ring. She is distressed to pick up the phone and realize that it is the owner of the property calling, because she is 6 months behind in rent. And now she has nowhere to run, and she'll have to answer it. As soon as she accepts the call, she greets the landlord politely. Then he talks about the overdue rent, and the woman says that she knows it's overdue. And she says that she would call him that same day to talk to him. The landlord says he'll be at the house in an hour, so they can talk. The woman says that this is a good thing, because she is in a situation to expose to the landlord, and she needs to talk to him. She makes sure that she is at home, and that she is waiting for the landlord to arrive. After that, she says goodbye to him and ends the call, and then quickly calls her husband. When he shows up and asks what happened, the wife tells him that the landlord just called. He figures it's about the rent. And the wife confirms that it is, since they haven't paid for 6 months, and now the landlord said he is going to meet them. The husband is desperate, not knowing what to do, since the situation is critical and they don't even have anything to eat at home. The wife says that she doesn't know what else to do, and that her husband needs to think of something. The husband suspects that they are going to be evicted, and the wife confirms that they are, because there is no way they can stay living for free. Then the husband asks her to calm down, says that he will think of a solution and talk to his wife again later. 20 minutes later, the husband is distressed, because the situation is already very difficult, so he needs to find a solution. So he thinks of something that might work, and goes to talk to his wife. The husband finds his wife in the kitchen, and says that he thinks he has a solution. This makes the wife more excited, and she asks him to speak soon. Then the husband says that their situation is getting harder and harder, that they really don't have anything to eat, and that they will have no other way out but to do what he thought of. He says that the only person who can solve this is his wife, leaving her surprised, because she doesn't understand what her husband is getting at. The husband says that he will need his wife one more time. Then he tells her that he's heard around the neighborhood that the landlord likes to mess with the women on the street, and hit on other men's wives. The wife says that she has heard about it, that the landlord can't see a woman, but she doesn't understand what this has to do with it. The husband says that he doesn't know if the wife will like it, but the only way out they have is for the wife to get all dressed up so that when the landlord arrives, she can hit on him. He says that the wife will have to say that the two have separated and that they are no longer together, so they can see what the landlord's reaction will be. The wife stays alone in the house and makes a pass at him, to see if he accepts. The wife says that the husband knows that she is not that kind of person. And the husband really knows, but he says that they have no other way out, that they don't even have rice at home, they have nothing. Knowing this, she ends up accepting, saying that she is going to get ready and get on top of him, to see if the landlord can forgive the debt, and has to say that she separated from her husband. For the husband, this is the only way out they have, and he says that he will have to leave the house. The wife then agrees to give it a try, because it is less than 30 minutes before the landlord arrives. He says that he loves his wife and is confident that everything will be fine. Minutes later, the landlord arrives at the house to collect the tenants. Meanwhile, his wife is inside the house, hoping that everything will work out. She's wearing the sexiest clothes she has on, and puts on some perfume to make herself smell good. At the end, she puts on some lipstick, thinking that men like women with lipstick. She gets all dressed up, to follow her husband's plan, and get the landlord to forgive their debt. Then, after she is ready, she realizes that this will draw a lot of attention, and she even seems a little more confident. Meanwhile, the landlord can't take the back rent from that tenant anymore, and says that's the day he's going to kick them out of his house. When he knocks on the gate, the woman rushes to meet the landlord. As soon as she opens the gate, the landlord looks at her from head to toe, and as the woman greets him, the landlord says she knows what he's there for. She asks him to take it easy, but the man says it's nothing like that, and that he's 6 months behind in rent. And the woman asks him to come in, so they can have a cup of coffee while they talk. He goes in, but says he's not going to fall for her lies. Inside the house, the woman invites him to sit next to her, and says he can make himself comfortable. She says she's glad he came to her house. Then she tells him that her husband has left her. The man questions if this is really true, and she confirms. She says that she has nothing to eat in the house, that her husband was supposed to pay the rent, and she thought he was paying. That her husband left her, and now she is alone. So she wanted to see with the landlord if there is any way for them to be seeing to this back rent, that she can pay him in another way, if he wants. So the landlord says that he is thinking of a way, and if it works out, he might even forgive her debt. She questions whether he will really forgive her for the overdue months, and if she won't have to pay anymore. The landlord then says that he has already forgiven her debt, and that she can now stay in her house. But there is one condition, and when she asks what it is, the man says that he will need to come to her house once in a while. The woman says that there is no problem, that he can come to the house and she will be waiting. She only really needs him to call first, because sometimes she goes out to solve something and wants to be ready and waiting. The landlord questions if there is no one in the house at that time, not her husband or anyone else. But confirms that they don't, that she is single, and the landlord can rest assured that the only man who will set foot in that house is the landlord. The man then says that if all goes well, he can even pass the house on to her name. That makes the woman even more excited, saying that everything is arranged, and she asks again if the months of rent arrears are already forgiven. And the man confirms that they are. The woman questions whether he is really going to sign the house over to her name. But he makes it clear that he can meet her at any time, that he will call ahead. She confirms that it can be any time he wants, that he just needs to call. The landlord makes it clear that he doesn't want any other man with her, and the woman confirms that it will only be the landlord and that she will only be his. After they settle everything, the man says he needs to leave. When she is left alone, she thinks it's good that it worked out, but she doesn't feel good about doing this at all. Moments later, after the landlord leaves, her husband comes home hoping that everything worked out. Meanwhile, the landlord realizes that he has forgotten his car key in the house. He thinks about calling first, but since he had just left her house, he decides to go unannounced. When he enters the house, he finds the gate open and enters the house. While inside the house, the husband finds his wife pensive on the couch. He approaches her and holds her hand, asks if it went well with the landlord, and the wife answers yes. She tells him that she hit on him, said she was single and that her husband had left, leaving the rent in arrears. And after hitting on him, the landlord forgave the debt and that she didn't have to pay, but that she would have a condition. That the landlord would have to come to her house, and in the course of history, he might even pass the house into her name. The husband questions whether he agreed to stay with her. And the wife says yes. But she confesses that she felt really bad, and doesn't even know what she's going to do when he shows up at the house, because she won't be able to stay with him. The husband knows, and apologizes for selling his wife out like this, because she has always been a good person and didn't need to go through this. He says that they had no other way out, and there was no way to postpone it, so he thought this was the only way out. They don't have anything in their pantry, they are starving.